You're gonna like this guy. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us.
Welcome to episode 8 of the Good Life podcast. Our second guest, Mr. Michael Dimmock. Welcome, mate.
Thank you. Thanks.
Great to have you on board.
It. Thank you.
Let's get started with who is Michael Dimmock?
Hello everyone. Hi Ben. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you. Your first podcast as well, right?
First one.
I love that, mate. Straight in the deep end.
Forgive me if it's not free flowing. So I'm Michael. I moved here to the UAE 5 years ago, and I'm a PE teacher here. And have just recently tried to, step out of my comfort zone a little bit. Firstly, by coming on here with you guys, but going into kind of a bit of an online mentoring, coaching space as well, similar to you guys. So yeah, looking forward to chatting and getting to the bottom of everything, really.
So we must have moved at a similar time, because I'm around 5 years.
Yeah, I think we did. I think we moved 5 years ago. Sat next to each other in the change rooms. I think it was.
I was going to say, explain to the audience how we met originally.
Yeah, so I first moved here, and as you try and build a social network, the things you kind of join it, you go into sports. So as yourself, as active people, you go to sports. So I joined the football team, sat down, looked around the change rooms, thought who is going to be playing centre half next to me here. Looked to my right, and there was this big brute next to me. And then we met. We played that season together.
A lot of clean sheets, mate. Right?
It was clean sheets. I want to say a fair few goals in there as well.
Yeah.
To be fair, I was going to say George's already highlighted. Like, were you top goal scorer? Or,
That season.
Yeah,
you'll back me on this. I was penalty taker that season, right?
That is true.
I couldn't believe it. But essentially, for a background, I'm not a penalty taker. I've never taken penalties in my life. Fair play to the professionals that take penalties. I was nerve-wracking. I had no one watching me. I was like, but our striker couldn't make it, and then it was like, who's second in line? And they were like, captain's got to step up. I went up, scored one, and then when you score one, the striker comes back there. No, George scored the last one. You've missed a few, so you keep going.
I think you had a bit of a run as well.
Yeah,
I think there was a fair few consecutive ones knocking in there.
Yeah, I think like 6 pens, and then we must have scored a good few headers, because me and you were like target men, weren't we?
I bet that people hate to see you two come in, like the big boys coming from the back.
Yeah.
Nothing worse as a defender.
Yeah, and then
good.
Swinging the ball in, and the two guys that aren't scared to put their face in the way, kind of going for it. So yeah, it's a fair few goals as well. So, yeah,
quality, mate.
Love it.
Brilliant.
So, mate, you were just talking about. Did you come over as a PE teacher? Is that how?
Yeah. So I was teaching for 3 years in the UK first. I was in a place called Corby, if anyone's ever heard of that. It's the East Midlands area. Really enjoyed it and thought, what else is out there for PE teaching? Went and then joined the international circuit and have been in Dubai ever since. So it's my 9th year teaching.
Mate, that's serious. So obviously I've got a bit of background in teaching. I always find it interesting. Like, what led you to get into education? Was it something you always wanted to do, be a teacher, or was it?
Yeah, good question, to be fair. Teaching, it wasn't on my radar to start with, to be honest. I studied sports science. That was my degree. I went to Loughborough University, studied sports science. And a big passion of mine was kind of fitness and strength conditioning, and I kind of looked at that for a little bit, and then it kind of became apparent that was so competitive, and especially obviously we already spoke about interest in football. It's an incredibly competitive space, and breaking into that industry is really tough. So hats off to anyone that's in there and doing that full time in these at this elite level. And then I decided, I did a couple of coaching courses, started to go into some schools and do that through my university degree, and thought, I really enjoy this, and thought I could take this forward. So from there, did the extra year on top for PGCE, and then, that's been it ever since, really.
And is it secondary or primary?
So in the UK, it was secondary, and then here is a slightly different landscape. So I do all the way through. So it's all the way from the littlest ones, the tots, 4 years old, all the way up to 18. So it's a real diverse mix. And that's why I know when you've talked in this podcast before, you talk about acts of service, and I think with Alex, the previous guest, talks about a bit of a performance, especially with the younger ones. I've had to learn to almost perform a little bit, and it's like you've got different personalities when you're working through
like the psychology behind coaching in a way.
A little bit. Like you're there with like the younger ones, and you need to be almost like a bit of an entertainer. If you try to take that same attitude with a 17-year-old, then thinking, who's this clown in front of me? Like, what's he doing, dancing around like a T-Rex? Like, we're trying to play a bit of rugby here,
Absolutely.
So you got to adapt and think on your feet, and that's one thing that teaching definitely has allowed me to do.
Nice.
Sure.
And what do you prefer? Like, the younger generation or the older generation? Because they have such real different needs, don't they?
Yeah. Again, it's tough to answer. Depends what you kind of look at. I quite enjoy the theory side of it. So the older ones, that is their kind of, cup of tea really. If the older ones with the exam style PE and what they're doing, but the young ones is fun. Every time you walk into a room of a primary school, you've got 30 people there that are buzzing to see you.
You're always the fun. You're always the fun one. If you're a PE teacher, I've done a little bit.
They're always buzzing to see you. So, and maybe that sometimes in the older ones they can be a bit tired, or there's other things going on, and it's a little bit more of a drag. But for the younger ones, it's like, this is the best thing ever. There's a mat and a ball, and this is what I want.
Something I just want to touch on really quick, because it was a real area that I noticed was a weakness, sort of working in primary schools myself. The level of just like coordination, basic skills and stuff. And obviously it's probably, I can imagine it being a little bit different in the UAE, but in the UK, I noticed that kids weren't getting outside as much, and that's just the hand-eye coordination to throw and catch was just not where it should be at even that young age. Did you notice that? Is that something that you've noticed as a bit of a weakness for kids growing up?
In the UK, yes. I did do a bit of work in primary schools in the UK, and my dissertation was on the PE sport premium funding, which the government rolled out into primary schools, and how schools were using that to develop primary sport. And then when you come over to the UAE, it's specialists the whole way through. So PE specialists are teaching all the way from 4 to 18, and I've personally seen a difference in how that affects basic motor coordination and how they engage in school sport at a younger age. Like the guys definitely in the primary side now, they're all the fixtures. There's competitive teams, there's development teams. Whereas in the UK, maybe it's a little bit more localised, but here, there's a widespread, sporting background is massive, and the facilities here obviously make a huge difference. It's
so important. And I feel like it's a real lacking area in the UK. The schools in the company I was working for, fortunately, they actually had specialised teams, PE teams, sport teams, whatever you want to call them. And but the majority of the time, I don't know if you know, George, but just the teachers would normally cover the PE. And some of them would have very minimal training, maybe not most interested in it as well. So basically what happens is, for the whole of primary school, they just don't really get what they need. And obviously you've seen a huge difference in the UAE, so I was just interested in the comparison. But yeah, it makes sense.
It's like you said, because you've got teachers who maybe in the UK in primary schools are teaching PE, maybe it's not their passion, and they're teaching it. Whereas here you've got the specialist. But again, it is kind of luck of the draw, because I've seen some primary PE lessons where primary teachers aren't PE specialists, but they deliver some outstanding lessons. And they like, you can see the passion they have for it. And I suppose that's kind of like, I guess, luck of the draw. But schools now, they do put a lot of effort into training staff, into having different, like, just as you've got a member of staff with maths specialism, you've got a member of staff with sports specialism, and leading it from the front. So it is, I think in the UK there's room for development. There's room for development everywhere. No place is perfect with it, but yeah.
And what actually initiated the move to Dubai? How did that all come around?
Just to expand horizons, really. We're in a space in the UK. It felt like a bit of a bubble, so I've almost gone from one bubble to another bubble, so to speak. But just to see what else is out there. Like, I knew there was an international teaching circuit. I knew it existed. And I wanted to try and, experience it and do something different with it. See where it would take me, see what people I would meet. I think that's basically why I just explore something different, not just be the same.
Take yourself out the comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah. Take a risk, 100%. If you don't go, I remember I was talking about it, I was speaking to my dad about it actually, and I said, I'm going to apply next year. Next year I'm going to apply for an international job and see what happens. And he went, well, why wait a year? What are you doing? I was like, actually, you're right. Sent the application, and then a month and a half later, I got the job, and then I moved. So it was like a real quick turnaround. But if it wasn't for him going like, well, what are you waiting for? Probably wouldn't have done it there and then you never know. You sink back into routine. You think, I'll do it next year.
And what have been some of the main benefits of moving to Dubai in terms of, like, outside of just teaching, lifestyle wise, I guess? Do you feel like it's more motivating place and the lifestyle, how you find it here?
Yeah, it's definitely fast paced. It's definitely a fast paced environment. You've got people who are really ambitious. Does feel very competitive. Some people thrive in that environment. Some people maybe shrink away from that environment a little bit. It is very competitive. You always do feel like you've got to be doing the next best thing, and you do feel in competition with a lot of people. Not just businesses in competition with each other, but individuals in competition with each other all the time to show they're doing the next best thing.
It's funny on that as well, because a lot of people say that, you got to be careful of bringing your children up in Dubai. Maybe you'll have your own perspective on this, because it can create soft children, and maybe they don't have you know, where there's too much safety and things are too easy and convenient, it doesn't give them that spark that maybe like British children will have, whatever it may be. But then I spoke to a few people who've grown up in the system here, and I've played them at paddle and other sports, and they're ruthless. And they actually told me the opposite. They're actually growing up in these environments. All of the other kids, they were almost competing against these kids, and the parents are obviously funding a lot of coaching, and they're getting the best coaches in to help them. So he said, yeah, maybe you don't have that spark and that edge in terms of maybe being streetwise around safety and stuff, but in terms of competition, like if anything, the competition's like through the roof. Would you agree with that? Or
competition here is definitely through the roof. Yeah, the standard of sport here, I would say, is high, especially at youth level. There's lots of opportunities for them to work with, you know, experienced professional coaches. Here in the sports academies, you know, the ones that we partner with, or even in schools that come into schools, it's not like the local dad running the team.
Yeah,
you know
Sunday leagues, or
the dads are like jacked.
Yeah,
not like beer belly dads with the bibs, throwing the bibs at you.
Like when I played, like my dad was a coach of my younger brother's team. The coach of my team was dad of one of the lads that played. You know. Here it's like, you know, they've done their UEFA B license. They used to play. Yeah, they used to play professional XY club, and not even just UK British clubs. Like they've played maybe in like Ligue 1 or Serie A, and now they're here setting up academies and going through there. So the advanced instruction they get, and that's not just football, by the way. That's, you know, across the board in a variety of sports: swimming, basketball, you know, rugby, even like UAE teen rugby trials were literally just on recently. And they're having access to, you know, some real high level coaches, so it does make a difference, and it is super competitive, but it's undeniably super competitive.
I think it's important that kids are brought up with the will to win. Like this day and age, it's almost like the taking part that counts. And yes, like putting yourself out there and doing certain things is great. There's nothing wrong with wanting to win. Like I don't understand why people don't want to win.
Yeah.
And whatever that is, whether that is to win a football match, if it's to, I don't know, even if it's just to beat your personal best at maybe a running race or something like that. I feel like from a young age, it's just about the taking part. And I feel like you've just got to come away from that. And you want the children, the youth, to want to be the best they can be and push that. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's certainly a place for it, though. Like there's certainly a place for, you know, the taking part and the development, because ultimately we want healthy, happy children, right? That's ultimately the aim of the game. And like I said previously, some people really thrive in a real competitive environment and a will to win. So some people just want to be there. So there is a place for it, and it's about
some people hide away and
right?
shy away, right? It's even like, I guess when we coach, there's some people who would be looking to max out and push, and there's some people it's just about getting them and prompting them to try and be happy in a gym environment or whatever it may be. I guess it's
about just being. I think it's the main thing for me, and what I would like to do with anything, whether that's sport or academics or even the performing arts, whatever. Just be at a kind of level of happiness and high performance. I think that's what you kind of want for anyone. I know my experiences with youth and teens, but even as an adult, you just want to have someone who's performing happily in a high performance way.
It's a really nice
and they're
way
doing
to
the
put
best they can do with what they've got.
I think that's it.
What you want.
I think like success and progress is different to every single person. And I think it's important to identify that. Like you say, like you probably see some youth who just them taking part is a huge win. And I saw that. And then you had some that you do expect higher things off. But absolutely, I think it's really important to define that success is very different for everybody.
Yeah, but there's obviously stats out there, isn't it? Like 0.0001% of all footballers playing the Premier League, or something like that. So ultimately, if you're sat in a room with 1,000 youth footballers, there might not even be a single one in there that's going to make it professionally. So what do you want them to actually achieve from the game or sports in anything, swimming, rugby, netball, whatever it is? You want them to enjoy it. You want them to be physically active. You want them to be injury-free as well.
There's some crazy stats going around as well about how, similar to what you said, you know, majority of children aren't going to make it to professional sport, but actually the amount of people in leadership roles in the real world grew up playing sports, right? And I guess for you, your story, when did you start playing sport, and how do you think that's impacted you growing up, do you think?
I think from very early days, I was playing sport. You know, it's I think I started playing football when I was about 8 years old. I did a bit of everything really, martial arts back in the young days. Swam competitively, you know, done a few things. Again, was never really going to be professional. Had a trial, and then they offered you the classic. You go for a trial. Do you want to join this shadow academy that ends up being paid for? So it's not really a trial, is it? But they sell it as something else. You know, we're partnered with XYZ club. had a you know, a couple of those. Wasn't ever going to be professional. I'm completely happy with that. Like, that wasn't
no West Ham trials knee injury.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be one of these that, you know, the ACL went. It never was. Professional sport was never really on the cards for me, which is fine. I'm really fine with it. So it's like, what can you do then to help people nurture themselves into a fitness space? It's always been a passion of mine. Started going to the gym when you know 14, 15, similar to yourself. And then tried to make a career of it, basically, which is what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Someone said to me recently how Roman's doing a lot of gymnastics, as you've seen and commented on. Do you want him to be like a professional gymnast? And I was like, not really. No, maybe he wants to explore that avenue and he'll want to go down that. But like you spoke about the kind of coordination and the motor skills, I think it's unbelievable. From what I've seen so far, he started at 2. Obviously now he's 3.5. And when you first start these things when they're so young, at first I thought, this is just like a waste of time, a waste of money. Like, I could do this from home. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, 6 months in, something clicked and he just started naturally like picking up these patterns. You know, he's like 3 years old and he can go back and walk up into like a handstand up the wall. And yeah, it just took a bit of time. Then all of a sudden it clicks and it's like, that just seemed embedded into his movement now. So I think for all of my kids, to be honest, gymnastics will be maybe the first one.
You can't really understate the importance of getting children physically active early. Like, and it's interesting what you said there. You know, like you're watching the session of gymnastics, and you know they're doing something, and you're like, I could easily teach them. like, come on, what am I paying for? Like, come on, we're doing a numbers game here. Like, I can do that with you at home. But it's similar to kind of the good life spaces that you're in as well. Paying a coach or being involved in a professional setup with this makes a difference. And especially in the UAE, where people maybe do have a little bit of disposable income to invest in those types of things for not just their children but themselves as well, does make a big difference. And that's why, you know, I take my hat off to anyone in a different country or even in the UAE who volunteers to do this stuff, because if they've got the expertise, they've got the professionalism, they've got the drive to do it, and like the active service that you spoke about before, and they go out there and do this on their own kind of free will, then they don't really understand the difference they make, because they'll never see that 4, 5, 6-year-old when they're 19 who's now develops the characteristics that they've actually set in motion in this voluntary role, you know, 10, 15 years ago, and they'll never actually almost see the benefit of what they've done. So for them to still keep going out and doing it, you know, hats off to them.
And I think the big thing as well with gymnastics, I mean, shout out Coach Michelle. She's incredible. So much patience with the kids. And again, like you said, combining, like, getting the skill set and the delivery that she wants whilst trying to be an entertainer and make them all together and enjoy it. All different levels and catering to the different levels. But I think one thing that I really like is how at the beginning they get them all to line up, to stand up straight, to welcome themselves, say hello to the coach. At the end, say thank you, get a sticker. It's just the mannerisms around it as well, the respect. I think it's like it in martial arts a lot as well, right? I think that's important. So, I mean, we'll go on to your business in a second, but just to go through, I guess, some of your personal transformation. You've been in Dubai 5 years, you're playing sport, you're fairly active. What initiated you to reach out for coaching? I mean, we've been working together above 6 months now, right?
Yeah, 6 months now, yeah. I think the reason why I reached out for coaching was actually for a learning experience, right? So, like I said to you, I've gone to the gym since I was 14, 15. I'm pretty sure I was pretty competent in what I was doing, you know, numbers moving in the gym pretty good, like knew how to train, knew what to do, knew what to eat, like degrees sports science, like I know what to eat, I know what to do. And I thought, I want to learn about, firstly, the power of community. I want to learn about how to build or be within an online business, because that's something I was interested in trying to explore. And I thought, I want to learn from experts, right? So I looked at, I knew obviously previously from what you're doing with your previous setup. I thought, well, I want to be a part of that. I want to learn about this business from the inside and as a customer first, and then seeing what I can take from that to put into my own, you know, professionalism, both as a teacher and in my own exploration of my own business. So the first reason I wanted to do that was to learn something. Obviously the second part of that is getting in some good nick on the way.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is a nice, you know, bonus side effect to it. But also like seeing how a group of people together with one mission can achieve something together, even though it's individual results. Like you've obviously set up these WhatsApp community groups, and you've got the Instagram page, and you've got all the social media, and you can almost see that when one person achieves something, the whole collective is like a bunch of squawking birds. It's like, love it, well done, and everyone's all into it. So everyone's buying in on a vision, and I wanted to learn how to be firstly be a part of that, but how to do it. And that's why I really reached out, and I've loved everything so far. It's been great.
It's amazing. I think you've made a really good point there. Like, you need the individuality, and that's what we're trying to bring. And that's probably what our initial strength was. I think coming from personal training backgrounds, we could work well with people one-to-one, and then it's like, how do you then bring in the community and actually bringing people together to celebrate, to be on this mission, to uplift each other? And we've obviously seen it from doing the in-person runs and communities, and even the online community. What we do obviously isn't just based in Dubai. There's people from all over the world, and I think, obviously you need the individual plan to work on your strengths and weaknesses, but then also being around like-minded people just upgrades your mindset, I think. I think
as well, like it just reinforces that other people are in a similar boat to you, which is nice, right? And obviously everyone's got different goals, but everyone, there's more people out there who are willing to invest in themselves, willing to try to improve. And I think it's nice just being around people like that. And it's also nice to have some positive reinforcement. When you do something well, you've got a group of people there that you're going to get respect from. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's great to build people up and just push each other more. I think it holds you to high standards as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you're in a community which is all have one goal, right? And that's what you want to be a part of. You want to be a part of a collective group of people that are trying to lift each other up. Like, show me your friends, show me your future, right? Show me your friends, show me your future. That's the we say that all the time to to the kids, and they're you can see the eye rolls. Like, all right, yeah, show me your friends. All right, here he goes again. But it's true. If you're around people who uplift you and who push you to be better, you're going to be better. And if you surround yourself with high achievers and people who have a mindset that they want to win, or they want to, be healthy and be happy, or whatever they want to do. But if you're around positive influence, you become positive influence, and then 100%. Good things happen, right?
A lot of coaches as well will sometimes ask me, what would your recommendation, if I want to be a coach or a trainer and do go down the route that you've gone, what would you recommend? And one of my first recommendations, obviously get legally qualified, do your level 2, level 3, but then after you've got them basics in place, hire a coach and go through that journey, like you said, and go to someone. People sometimes think I'm saying this because it's like, oh, invest in me. I'm not even saying invest in me. Go and invest in someone who you relate to, or maybe you aspire to achieve the result that they want. And like you said, you going through that process, you're going to learn different things from different coaches. I've maybe had 5 coaches, and every one you take things that you like and then maybe dislike and tweak and change that to make your own kind of method. And also when you're going through the process and you've got someone looking over what you're doing, you realise the importance of what we do. That builds so much belief in what you're doing with your own business as well, right? Like, for me, when I'm being coached properly, it makes me realise I benefit from this so much. I want to give that same feeling to other people. So I think if anyone wants to get started, definitely, it doesn't need to be us, but hire a coach and go through that process. Get yourself in outrageous shape, or whatever it is you're coaching. Sometimes people say get in outrageous shape, but if you're coaching body composition, obviously you need to be in good shape for that. If you're coaching running, you probably need to be running and being a good runner, right? Practicing what you preach and all that.
Having a coach doesn't mean you're a beginner. I think that's a misconception here, that like if you invest in a coaching journey, whatever that may be, business mentorship, performing arts and dance like Alex was last week, or like fitness, they messing with you guys, it doesn't necessarily mean you don't have a clue, and like you don't know what you're doing, and on the other side of the coin, like you can always be better, right? 1% better every day is the target. You can always be better. So even if you aren't pretty confident in what you're doing, someone could give you a different perspective on something that could really change the way you see or feel about something. So it's worth a chat, isn't it? It doesn't necessarily mean you have to invest tens of thousands of dirhams or pounds into whatever, but it's always worth a chat to see where people's different mindsets are, see their perspectives on things, and then go for it from there. And that's always what we try and instill in everything we do, really, in schools, or even just with what I'm doing separately. Be open-minded with these things. Don't be closed off to it. I've had people say, like, why are you doing, why have you enrolled in personal training? Like, you're a PE teacher, like, you know what you're doing. Like, but it's not about that. It's about being part of something different and going for something, being part of a different team.
And leveling up, right?
Yeah,
and just try, like you said, just try and be that bit better. There's a reason why everyone has a coach. Like, you look at all these top performers, probably all these top businessmen, they'll all have mentorships. All the best sportsmen in the world, they've got coaches. There's a reason why even people at the top of their game have got coaches, right? And like you say, sure. It's not just because people don't understand maybe calorie tracking or movements in the gym. You don't have to be like completely at the bottom to get a coach. The amount of people that we speak to who just want that, like, maybe level of accountability, to take things to the next level, or like you, like to learn a little bit more,
Yeah.
whether that is from the business side of it, whether that is to do with purely body transformation, body composition, whatever it might be. There's so many different facets to it, right?
Accountability, I think, is massive there. Like
100%.
If you're accountable to someone, obviously you're accountable to yourself, right? You need to be self-disciplined, and you need to have some intrinsic motivation to, you know, be motivated and inspired from within to want to do something different for yourself. But being accountable to an external person or something like a team or a community like you've got here. I remember you said to me, like, I want to make you a walking billboard, right? And it's like, you don't then, the minute you say that to someone, like, you're like, well, I don't want to let the team down. I'm part of the team here. Like,
you're representing us in a way. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, create a buy-in with a group of people, and that's, you know, that's what we should try and do with everything we try and do in terms of, like, I know we're focused mainly today on sports because of my background, but even in a business sense or for an art sense, like, create a buy-in to a common mission or objective, and you'll get good things happen.
I think a big thing in the modern day world, which we'll get onto, is AI and information and technology. And a lot of people just assume that if you can, back in the day, it was Googling something like, I can Google that. I always had that. I can Google that. Why would I need you to do this? And it's like, we've had information for years now. And if information was going to get you in shape, why is everyone not walking around shredded, right? If anything, obesity is on the rise as information is increasing. And people assume information alone is the thing that's going to get them in shape when it's such a small piece of the puzzle, like you spoke about as well. So people don't have an information problem. They have an implementation problem. Yeah. Not having a plan that is actually structured into their life. And with AI as well, I actually had a client say to me, you know, I've set up his program in a way that, you know, I know for a fact that it's going to work, and I'm kind of being a bit stubborn and like dying on the hill that, like, you just need to, like, listen and just follow this, right? Like, at the end of the day, when you're investing in a coach, they're going to build out a program that gets the best possible result for you because that's what they want. And he's ChatGPTing it, and it's basically telling him, oh, maybe that this isn't working because of this and because of that. And it's basically like feeding back into the emotion that he's got around it. So, and it's not even that he doesn't enjoy it. He loves it. He's enjoying it. But he's like, this ain't going to get results. And I'm like, it will for sure. It will get results because we've been doing it a number of years, and similar to even, you know, a similar style to what I'm doing, right? So if it works for me, why would it not work for someone like that as well? So yeah, technology is the big one. People think is everything.
Yeah. It's really growing, and obviously I'm seeing this from the inside out from in schools. And even if you looked last year at what an AI model can do, and you look at it now, the advancement in it is really, it's not scary, it's exciting. It is exciting. Yeah. But it is about how people use it, right? And you can see some people are using it to cut corners. Using AI is a skill in itself. We try and get this across to the students, especially when they're in their examination subjects. Using AI is a skill. It's not to be banned or to be frowned upon, but if it's, you ask it a question and you just take for what it says and copy and paste it onto your work or whatever you're doing, similar to your man there, who's copy and pasting your program in and going, you know, basically critique this, and it's going, you could do it. Yeah. It's because it's telling you what it wants
you to hear.
What it thinks you want to hear, right? So it's a skill. It's skill in itself, AI. And we do have to be careful that we're still encouraging critical thinking. So, like, fair play to the guy can do his research and question, you know, what am I doing, for sure. But also, like, you do have to trust the experts, so to speak. And the AI can be, and so with the kids at the moment, you see the different brackets of how kids use it, and it's quite interesting to see how different kids use it. So obviously the older ones, they're using it almost like as an advanced Google, helping them with their questions. Some research is showing that the younger students are asking it like friendship social questions, and it's coming back with almost like biased responses, and it can really influence the way they're thinking. I think there's an AI article. I'm not an AI expert, by the way, don't quote me on this, but it's like an AI integrated toy, and you know, the kid was sat there asking it questions and the toy was responding to the kid. So it is advancing in a different way, and you know, critical thinking for not just kids but adults as well is really important. We do want to try and foster that as much as we can, both in school, outside of schools as well. But yeah, AI is a skill and it's here to stay. So it's about how you use it, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, being obviously with kids being off school at the moment, it's so hard with Roman to like avoid technology in a way. You know, if he's indoors and obviously with the heat rising and stuff as well, there's only so many times you can build a tower, knock the tower down, do a bit of colouring before something comes out as well. But it's something, I've realised how different his mood is and his like regulation when he is going to nursery and he's interacting. He's just a different human. Literally, Beth said this last night. He's a different person, and it's not his fault.
Yeah.
You know, anyone would go insane being indoors all day, right?
Yeah. Shout out to any parent dealing with a young child on distance learning. It's really tough. Like, it's really tough. The older ones can maybe get on with it a little bit better, but especially like Roman's age children around that age, it's really, really tough for them. There's so many parents that I know are out there, and it's like they're trying to do their own work from home stuff, and then they've got like a music lesson going, but you can't expect the 4-year-old to get on the online keyboard and try and give it a go. And like, it's so fair play. Like, it's really tough. This is only with obviously the current situation in the Middle East, but you know, it's hard. It's hard. There's no real easy fix.
I was going to say, is there any tips or advice on that?
What with distance learning? It's hard. Build a routine. Try and build a routine as best you can. Routines win all the time. Still try and stick to the school schedule. I would say, you know, getting up on the same time. If you let them sleep till 11, when the schools do go back, it's like, well, my circadian rhythm's all over the place. That's hard to manage. So yeah, it's tough. And sometimes the modern day Gen Z, right, they get a bit of a bad rep, don't they? Like, you know, spoil, things are convenient. Didn't have this in my, how many times did I
all the time,
Didn't have this in my day, you know. I was out, you know, muddy knees.
Roy Keane days.
Riding your bike, knocking for your friends. All of that.
Headbutting lampposts for fun, like, not in my day. Like, you get some bad rep, but if you think about, like, especially like the 18, 19-year-olds, they've gone through COVID. So they're in school during COVID. They've had all that change. If you're a student in the UAE right now, they're going through this current situation, which is, you know, difficult for kids to understand, I would say, and they're online again. So you might actually find that the most resilient people out there are actually kids. Kids are actually really resilient. Some people say, oh, you know, they fail and give up. Well, yes, lots of people fail and give up. You know, it's normal for them. It's just about encouraging them in the right way. And they do get a bad rep, saying, you know, spoiled and all this, but they've lived through some pretty hard times. You know, they have, and they've come through the other side. And ultimately, they're in schools at the moment. We're almost prepping them for jobs that don't even exist.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Like,
that's such a crazy.
Like, if you'd have said to a student leaving school 5 years ago, you could be an AI engineer, they'd be like, right, I thought that was only Elon Musk. Or like, we're correct. They're going to be in jobs when they finish university that currently are not on the planet. So it's how do you
cloud experts?
How do you mold a person to be able to do that? And even retraining as an adult, like you can be learning skills now which you might change industry, and you're going to be in a job which doesn't even exist now.
It's crazy. So, have you found like a trend in what young adults want to be? So the older children, do you discuss like what career path they want to go down, and have you seen like a change?
YouTubers. Vloggers, do you get that?
Yeah, mate, yeah.
Do you?
No,
that's actually serious.
It's serious. Like, it's not a joke. They do. Like, I want to be on reality TV. I want to be on reality TV. I want to get involved in that. I want to be an influencer. I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be a streamer.
Yep.
Streamer.
Streamers. They play games, video games, don't they, full time, and get paid for that. Want to be a streamer. You know, and that's crazy how much that's changed even from when like we were at school. I'm 31. When we were at school, it's like, you know, I want to be, you know, police.
I was going to say Roman's police officer, fireman, or doctor. Changes by the day.
Yeah.
But one of those.
Yeah. Maybe at Roman's age, like, what do you want to be? Stegosaurus.
That do.
I just be a Stegosaurus when I'm older, actually. Dad's like, what are you on about? I'm going to be a dinosaur all the time. And now they're like, it's changing. It really does change.
It's interesting.
It is really interesting in the mindset, and that kind of leads on to kind of what I've tried to do.
I was going to say, like, how was that? So what's kind of made you now want to create your own business? And tell us a little bit about the business venture you've got.
Yeah. So won't shout the other podcast in case you get a sponsorship deal.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause I'm sure you wanted collabs and stuff. So I was listening to a podcast once, and he was talking about investing in stocks. Actually, he was talking about stock trading and all this type of stuff. And I tried to take a piece of information from that. And he said, with the market, either go with the market full in, so like go with like tech and it's going that way, or the total opposite, because people will either buy into it or they'll want. So say like AI is building massive, like go and invest in a company that maybe does Amazon expeditions, because people want that real world
community, people together,
you know?
right? Yeah.
They want to go away from that, and they want to reject that, and they want to go all the way down this way. So I thought about schools and where things are going with technology and everything, and I thought, all right, I'm going to go the opposite way, and I want to still build an online coaching service or a mentoring service, as I've called it, but I want to put an emphasis on the human skills. because the kids in school learn different subjects, science, English, maths, PE, whatever they're studying. I want to put an emphasis on teaching people and coaching people about the human skills, mindset, resilience, looking after themselves, how they do that, and how then that can have the natural byproduct of success in either academics or where they go. So it's an online mentoring platform that Stride, if people want to check it out on Instagram, and they can they get tips. They send me daily check-ins and weekly reflections. I send them back some videos, explaining what they can do. If they rate anything red or rag rate, we have a mentoring call. We talk about things, how they do. Everything always involves a parent, so it's through WhatsApp or through Loom video. Involves a parent. Parent can watch it. Parent can see it. And it's just about building a space, and it's similar to trying to build a community here that you've got with the Good Life, where parents and teens, so it's for teens aged 15 to 18 really, going into exam years and university and beyond, how they can build into a safe, happy space where they're resilient, going forward, ambitious, know their purpose, have control of their lifestyle, and have control of their performance. That's what I've tried to do.
Incredible.
Yeah. Really cool. I think there's definitely a gap for that, man. I really do. Like you say, people, again, so I've only been over here for 5 months now, so not too long, but obviously from the UK, you would see that the younger adults are becoming more isolated. They are, whether that is just because of technology at home or whatever it is. So I think the fact you're building that space where they can sort of learn those skills and things like that is incredible. They're all transferable as well. I think that's the important thing. Wherever they decide to go in the future, those social skills, them resilient skills, they can take them with whatever career they decide to go in, right?
Yeah, and I've worked with a few people so far, and I really appreciate them coming on board with me and trusting me, especially the parents. It's a lot of trust parents obviously put into.
Do you notice common trends? I know that I don't want to divert you too much, but with parents and then children's development in terms of the parents maybe behaving a certain way or just being a certain type of person, do you notice that?
It's tough obviously because I'm not a parent myself at the moment, so I wouldn't want to comment necessarily on any sort of particular style or what a parent does, but it can go, things go different ways though. There's so
the whole nature versus nurture thing, though, right?
So
that's what I'm trying to think. I always think as a parent, we've ultimately got such a big responsibility to bring up these kids in the right way. One thing I've realised from just when I had Roman on his own, I always thought that every decision that either me or Beth made as parents completely shaped him. And then obviously having the twins, I've just realised every kid is just so different. I cannot believe how different Roman is to Blaze and Blaze is to Honor. They're literally twins, obviously non-identical. And, if she needs to go to sleep, needs to be left alone, no one near her, no one touching her, and she's just happy, smiley, positive all the time. Blaze is a little mummy's boy, a bit more naughty. He needs to be cuddled, just completely opposite. And as a parent, you just feel like everything's ultimately your responsibility. But I mean, obviously, you want to set the right foundations in terms of the way you eat is obviously going to shape what your kids' probably diet is going to be in a way, and your routines and your sleeping patterns. Getting them outside, being active, I guess, are going to be big things. But I didn't know if there was anything else that you see, I guess.
And that's what I'm trying to do with the Strides program that I've created with the teenagers, especially trying to get them to empower, take control of that themselves. We do things like track sleep. I've educated them about circadian rhythms, how that influences your performance. If there is sleep here and you've created sleep debt here, how are you going to work with that in the future? I think there's a stat. Don't quote me on it. I think there's a stat that if you get 6 hours or less sleep, if you suffer, or you are going to suffer, a physical or mental impairment. So if you had less than 6 hours sleep, expressed as a percentage population of the globe, it'd be 0% of people would not suffer a physical or mental impairment.
And I don't know if you've had this objection back to you, but I guarantee people will say that kids shouldn't be doing this stuff this young and it's too much pressure on them too soon. But I just see it in the opposite way, that it's such a superpower. Could you imagine being that young and knowing all of that? It's almost just, it's the opposite. I know for a fact people will think that. And I just think, what a privilege to be able to give them that from such a young age.
Yeah, and it's not that schools don't do it, because schools do this type of thing as well. But it's the time constraint. Time is the big limiting factor for any sort of business. Right? There's curriculum demands, exams are coming. Exams are coming, curriculum demands, all these types of things that are coming away, and they get in the way. Time is a massive thing. You've got a holiday here, you're ill here, whatever. So time constraints are real big for young people. So and in schools. So educating them about this maybe outside, I felt was a way to kind of express this in a better way and provide more of a platform for them to learn about this type of thing. Yeah,
love it.
Nice. How long you been doing it for?
So it's since February. I've been going on it since February. So the first cohort have just kind of gone through the program, had some really great results. Really happy with it. Amazing. Really proud of the guys we've been working with. I'm sure they won't mind me shouting them out, but they got a top university offer, 50% scholarship, top university offer over in Korea, and that was with ice skating as a part of the scholarship. So she's done an amazing job. The other guys I'm working with, you know, they're still a little bit younger, so they're still going into the next phase of their education. But you can see, like, so we track data. I'm a big data guy with this type of stuff. We track data, and you can see through the trends, like the self-reported focus score in their studies gone up, the routines they can keep longer term has improved. So they're more aware of things like sleep, hydration, steps. It's not necessarily a personal training program. I can help them with exercise if they want to, but it's more about how they can schedule that in, because generally most of the guys I'm working with so far are already student athletes, so they're already working at a high level, either in swimming, the young lady was an ice dancer, footballers, they're already playing sport quite regularly, so it's more about how we can factor that into their week and how build the study around it, manage time more effectively, rather than me saying like, right, you must do this. Then it's not like that. It's about how we can build that in, and it's create an open space where there's going to be weeks where it's not so great. For example, there's a few guys that maybe didn't stay in the country because of the current situation. How do we manage the travel? How do we then manage their schedule around that? And then, you can see and they will come aware because they can log into their dashboard, right? And they can see the trend in different energy levels and mood. You can see like it nosedive a little bit through a little bit of a bad period. But what these guys have all shown is that they can rebound. But then the important thing with it is that they can see the journey they've been on through the weeks of the program, so they are stronger than they think they are.
This is why it's important to log the bad days and the bad weeks as well, so you can refer to that data. But I guess just to go back to your own personal transformation, obviously, like you mentioned, it's been around 6 months now. Is there anything that you would have told yourself starting off on that transformational journey that you would have known now? Like, what things have you learned along the way where you've thought you would tell your old self?
Don't be scared to go for it. Like, I remember before I was thinking like, I was interested in it, and then putting it off, and I thought, don't be scared to go for it. What I've learned about it differently, I think I've actually really learned more about the power of data, and I've built that into my own my own program now with what I'm doing. Tracking the reps, tracking the weights, tracking the calories, it is important, right? It's undeniably important, and it is monotonous, right? It can be monotonous, so that's why you need the discipline to think. And that's why, like, having it on a platform, like obviously you've got your app, I've got the dashboard that I've created through a different program, but having the data and being able to reflect on it and seeing the journey over a long period of time makes a difference. So things like progress pictures, I was never involved in that sort of stuff personally, but since doing the program, you do your progress pictures, you can actually see a difference. Even if a number hasn't changed a lot, you can look at that, so then you can see the bigger picture. So I say to these guys I work with as well, both in school and outside, a bit of a helicopter mindset, right? Zoom in or land on the success, zoom out away when things are a bit difficult, so you can look at the full journey you've been on. So can you zoom out and see, right, this is actually a dip on what has been really successful, and then when it's really successful, zoom in, what did I do there that I want to keep going with? So don't be scared to zoom out and zoom in with your mindset to think that you can do those things. That's something I've learned.
Data is really important, and when it comes to, if someone was in a business environment, they were looking to grow a business to a certain level, almost any advisor is going to say, what's your numbers first and foremost? They want to know revenue, profit margins, all this kind of stuff of the business, right? If you were to get someone to maybe buy your business, and you almost need to treat your body in the exact same way as you would treat a business if you really want to grow and you want to push. I rarely think that you're going to feel your way to a transformation, like just train a bit or just eat healthier. It's the ones we hear all the time.
We had a client yesterday message and say they're just sort of struggling with tracking, didn't they? And they were finding it really difficult. And we just gave them a few tips. And one of the things I always say is what gets measured gets managed. If you don't measure something, it's impossible to manage. You don't know what's going well and what's not going well.
It's like throwing darts blind.
Yeah,
it's like throwing darts blind,
and you just can't do it.
And when people only track the good days and obviously don't track the bad days because they don't want to let themselves down, make themselves feel like a failure, don't want to let their coach down. Like, as coaches, we've been there, we've been through the bad days, and we see it day in, day out. I think sometimes people assume that every client is perfect, and they're not, and they don't want to let the team down. But actually, that's where you get the most amount of value. You know, if the good days are fine, just leave them there. I don't even want to really see the good days. Keep doing them. Where can we, and for me, I just see bad days as progress. Like, if you can get the bad day to be less bad, and then get that less bad day to be okay, and then okay to good, like, that's the journey that you go on to transformation. That's how transformations happen.
Where's learning take place? In a bad result. Learning takes place in a bad result. If you get 10 out of 10 on a test, what have you learned? Well, I've learned I've nailed a test. If I get 1 out of 10, I've got 9 opportunities to learn. You know, that's where learning takes place in the dips, right? And it's about, again, zooming out to know that, because it can be quite disheartening when you get a failure and you get a bad week, or like you see like the scales rebound or your numbers aren't as good, whatever. It can be tough to get over that. But then zoom out, see the journey, see where I'm at, come back through again and learn. That's where the best learning takes place.
You have 2 options, don't you? If you don't get to where you want to get to, you either quit or you just try again, right? There's the 2 options you get. You either just hide away from it, or you go after it and try and fix it.
Yeah, show me a CEO of any big company in the world that created a company and is now a billionaire.
Yeah.
There's no one.
Absolutely.
Like, everyone's failed.
There's some quotes flying around about just, fail fast, fail often, and just look for them failures. The more that you fail, the more that you essentially win. And I think associating a failure with a win is like a really positive thing to then, it makes you want to address like your weaker areas as well. And I try and sit down usually every quarter and think, right, what's going well? Of course, you've got to celebrate the good and maybe double down on that and do more of that. But then also, what's the areas where you can refine and tweak and improve? Because we only naturally, again, want to go towards the things that we're good at.
Don't be scared of failure. That's one big advice I've got for anyone, child, adult, parent.
And I see it in check-ins a lot as well. Like someone, one of the first questions is, overall, how would you rate your week in terms of adherence and overall progress? And I sometimes see quite a few like 10 out of 10s. And even for me, like, I'm very rarely actually had a 10 out of 10. There's usually always something, even if you had like almost a perfect week, still probably a 9. There was a few things that you could have done there. And that's one common trait that I think I noticed between the people who get the best results is they're always like 8, 9s consistently rather than like 10 out of 10s. So.
It's also remind yourself as well, like even like you guys, your coach or teachers, we've all failed. So when you've failed something or things aren't going as well as you want it to, everyone's done it. There's no judgment. I think that's what, like, if you put on your check-in like you've got a 1 out of 10 week, like you're worried that like you'll look at that and go, what is he doing? What is he doing? Like he's paying me. I've told him what to do. What is he doing? And that's not actually my thinking when I see someone who's put in a bad score, or they're struggling with something, or they're asking me, sir, I've got a question, I don't get it. I never see it as like, what are you doing? No. It's like, well,
an example I think it's important for us to talk about failures on the podcast, because ultimately, it's the Good Life podcast, but also what comes underneath that. And I'll share a failure of ours the other day. You know what's coming.
Yeah, I know what's coming.
So me and Ben have got so excited. You briefly mentioned about the merch, right? Okay, and the tops and whatnot. And we're just so hyped, and we're just like taking action fast. That's our whole thing, isn't it? What's the quote that you mentioned at the beginning?
I think it's like, an idea without action is an idea wasted.
Yeah. And we've kind of just followed with that now, isn't it? It's like, as soon as we have idea, how can we get that idea to be actioned on ASAP? So we want the merchandise. People want the merch, right? We're going to order some tops, some caps, some vests. We got all the designs made up.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be sitting in one.
Yeah. We'll get onto that. Why not?
Yeah, and then what I was going to be doing.
And then, the drafts, they look perfect, didn't they? They literally look so clean.
Yeah, yes.
And I got on the website and I'm like, right, I'm going to order, we want dry fit, we want the best, like, we ordered like premium dry fit, didn't we? Like, we paid like, whatever the max was, we were like, yeah, that's the one we want, because we want the best quality. Don't need to see them. That's where the mistake was.
Classic.
Small, large, extra large, extra large.
Tap the card and move on.
Get them. We want them like tomorrow.
Yeah.
We want them by the end of the week or whatever it was. And we ordered dry fit premium, and we got waffle knit dry fit premium. Where was the waffle fit in the order?
Honestly, it's like the heaviest material ever,
Okay.
and obviously coming towards the summer in the UAE as well, it's probably not ideal.
Perfect for a workout.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was like wearing a weighted vest, or you know when people used to put bin bags on to run.
Yeah,
That's
Sweat
the only
out.
thing
Old
that we've
school.
put it down as, is like at least it might make people sweat more and lose more weight.
Yeah.
But again, like that was a failure. And I mean, number one, we should have got a sample before. We shouldn't have ordered a batch of 70
I was going to say
without a
70,
sample. Like,
yeah.
how
It wasn't
ridiculous
just
is
one
that?
off.
Yeah. Well,
And then, more importantly, what was the failure from that? And then, you know, the next day we're just straight in with like
More research,
samples,
yeah.
more research, better research, more samples. And I think, yeah, accept that you failed. But for me anyway, if I have failed, I need to be over that like so fast.
Yeah.
Like, so don't like dwell on the failure and let it beat you up for years. We could see it as like money wasted. We just give them out for free, good vibes. Everyone's
And people
got
still
them.
love them, to be fair.
People
Like,
still
it
love
was-
them.
I think something that I always notice about, like you say, like you want to come back from it as quick as possible to get that feel-good feeling. Another saying I really like is confidence comes from evidence. And you probably see it with your young athletes. Like they get confident they can bounce back because they've proven they can do it.
Yeah.
And I think if you can build that bank of evidence that you can succeed, you can bounce back from failures, your confidence just goes through the roof.
Yeah, and when you track it as well, and you've got the
You see
evidence, right? Then you can zoom out. If you've never tracked it, you zoom out. What you're looking at?
Yeah,
So
nothing, blank
track it,
canvas,
so yeah.
absolutely.
You just need 2 weeks of tracking data, and then when you start getting the results of tracking the data, you don't not want to track the data because you understand the benefits it gives you in your life, I feel. So yeah, I think just track it, and then you can spot what's going wrong. And sometimes people say, I'm tracking the data but the weight isn't moving. I'm like, good, we've got data here.
Yeah.
Now we can actually control. The good thing is you've been tracking, so we're like in control of your weight,
Yeah.
really. I almost think weight loss is guaranteed. That's the way I see it now. People see, oh my God, you think I can lose 10 kg? Like, I know for a fact that person can lose 10 kg.
We say it all the time,
We've seen it
right?
time and time
yeah,
again,
we
haven't
say it
we?
all the time. Results aren't by accident.
No.
Like,
No.
if
They're
you
fully
want a
intentional.
transformation, you will absolutely get a transformation. If you're willing to stick through the journey, you will win.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
And a question we always finish on, mate.
Okay.
What does a good life mean to you?
What's a good life mean to you? Again, it's such a big question, isn't it?
But just try and bring it down, because this is what I do. I go off, there's so many things.
Yeah.
Try and think of,
I think it's being happy in your own skin for a start.
Yeah.
Happy in your own skin, and knowing what you want to do. Like, and that doesn't necessarily mean I need to know what job I want to do, but knowing who you are as a person and what influence you want to have on other people. If you're happy in your own skin and you can have a positive influence on yourself and others, then I think you're living a pretty good life.
Love that.
Yeah.
is that happy in your own skin, happy inside, or happy with your body?
I think it's both, to be honest. If you've got some self-confidence and a positive self-image, you'll go on. If you believe yourself to be a good person, you believe in yourself that you're going to be a positive influence on others, and you believe in yourself that you're going to be successful, then that's half the battle. If you think you can't do it and you're not happy with how you look, or not necessarily just aesthetically, like internally as well, like what sort of
Body and
characteristics are
spirit.
going on, body and spirit. If you don't believe that in yourself, then you're making your journey to success, whatever that may be, a lot harder. So yeah, just be happy and confident in yourself. But again, those skills can be trained.
Yes.
So those skills can be trained and practiced, and that's the thing. Anything with a good life, you've got to work at it. So you got those
It's
are
the
the things
pursuit.
I'd say.
The pursuit is a
of
good
it.
life.
The good life is a never-ending journey.
Yeah,
I
I
would
love
say
that.
it's one of those things that's constantly going to change and adapt. But if you've got the foundation blocks in place with those types of things, then you're onto a winner, I'd say.
Best
I love
meeting
it.
so far.
Yeah, absolutely love it.
There you go.
Thanks for your time, my
Thank
man.
you, mate. Appreciate
Great
it.
episode. We'll have to
Thank
get
you.
you on
Yeah.
again, man. I feel like there's always so much to talk about,
Yeah,
but
love to. Yeah.
I love that, mate. Thank you very much for coming
Cheers
on
to you.
today.